Labour's biggest funder, Unite the Union, have announced they are cutting political donations to the party. The union will remain affiliated to Labour and so pay their £1 million affiliation fee, but no additional funding will be granted. That's a break from tradition in recent years. Explaining the move, General Secretary Sharon Graham told The Guardian, "There's a lot of other money that we use from our political fund where actually I'm not sure we're getting the best value for it." So that's Graham saying the extra cash Unite has been giving to Labour from its political fund is not value for money. Basically, they're not getting enough in return. Graham goes on to explain her alternative strategy, and the Guardian write this up in the following way. Graham said she would instead put money into campaigns that would set the pace for Labour to follow. She pointed to the Scottish Government's proposals for a national care service, reforming social care, as an example of a cause that Unite would campaign for in the hope of influencing UK-wide policy. Quote, "If we can get in a national care service in Scotland, if we can drive that through, then let's put the resource in Scotland. Let's get some campaigning going on there properly." The fact that I am being quite robust is because Labour needs to talk about workers, needs to defend workers, and needs to defend communities. Aaron, do you think this is a good move from Sharon Graham?
Deeply, deeply good move. Very clever move. Appropriate move. Justified move. If you look at the Labour Party's sort of positioning on union disputes recently, and look, the leadership isn't as right-wing as Blair was regarding this stuff, although I think it's going to be eventually. If you look at, for instance, Keir Starmer, literally 12 months ago, where was he? Well, more than 12 months ago, February 2020, before he was really elected leader even. Where was he? He was on UCU picket lines, happy to be supporting UCU, striking workers. Now he can't even muster a tweet. Now you could say, well, look, he's the leader of the Labour Party. He shouldn't be doing that. You can make that argument. I don't agree with it, but you can make the argument. But it is strange that somebody who's pitching himself as a Labour leader will do that, and they don't when they're at the top. Equally, in the recent reshuffle, people moved around. There's now no longer a shadow Secretary of State for employment rights. Seems quite a big deal if you're the Labour Party, employment rights. Equally, you had Sadiq Khan, Labour mayor, attacking the RMT, the union related to underground rail drivers. They do more than that. Tube drivers, they do more jobs than just that on the London Underground. Attacking them on Twitter, saying they weren't actually misrepresenting what had happened. So you're having the beginnings of the Labour right have come to the fore in the party. They're not just not expressing solidarity with aspects of the Labour movement, they're actually actively pushing against them. We saw that a little bit with a lack of support towards teachers from Labour earlier this year. We're seeing it increasingly now, like I say, with RMT, with UCU. Keir Starmer, more to say, has offered more overt solidarity to trade unions as Labour leader than Blair did. But I think that's partly a political calculation. And that politician is moving away at a rapid pace. You've got people like Pat McFadden going into his shadow cabinet, Wes Streeting being elevated, Yvette Cooper back as shadow Home Secretary. So the composition and the politics of the front bench for Labour is really moving right. And I think the very limited expressions of solidarity we've seen with the Labour movement so far in his leadership, I think they're going to increasingly disappear. So I think it's good that Unite have done this. And the bet from the Labour right, the bet from Keir Starmer is, we don't need you, we don't really want you, and we can get big money donors. Well, let's see. Great way to test that hypothesis. Necessity is the mother of invention. And Labour politicians in the 2000s thought, well, if we reduce various benefits, well, people will have incentives to go and find more money and work that little bit harder. Let's see if that applies to the Labour Party with Unite cutting spending to them. Important to say, of course, it's still going to other left-wing campaigns, movements, causes. So I'm all for it.
I think it's also worth adding, some people might be watching and saying they should go the whole hog and disaffiliate. They're still giving £1 million to Labour. Why don't they, just cut that link? I think the response to that is that if they did that, they would have no influence anymore. I think actually Keir Starmer would love it if they disaffiliated from Labour, because then they'd lose their seats on the NEC, they'd lose their votes on the conference floor. What they have done is actually, I think, maximise their leverage to say, no, we're going to keep our votes on the NEC, we're going to keep our votes on the conference floor, but we're going to pay the bare minimum to do that. You're not going to get any extra cash beyond that which we are obliged to give you to keep that link intact, unless you you do something for us. And as Aaron has described, Keir Starmer is not doing much for them at this point in time. So it's them using their leverage, which is clever, sensible, and the more effectively the unions use their leverage, the less right wing this goddamn Labour Party is going to become. So I'm all for it. Well done, Sharon Graham.